Given how fountain pens are such personal items, customization is very popular with them. This is often seen on the nibs of pens, such as the extra fine, which is used for daily writing, and the oblique triple broad, which is often used for writing signatures, or for really large daily handwriting, like I'm talking like 3 lines per word or so. However, though, there is another form of customization shown in this pen, which, in a way, allows you to control the flow of ink towards your pen and adds another layer on how writing in a whole works. And this pen we are talking about is the Noodlers Ahab. So my first thoughts of the Ahab was about the first design I got. This is my first Ahab, and I chose the Arizona design, which it looks absolutely amazing. The nice contrast between the red and yellow, it does remind you a lot of Noodler's Apache Sunset. Although one downside of the pen, it's the material. Although it's a very nice and smooth material, it does give off an odor. I believe it's some form of biodegradable celluloid. So although this odor is not present if you are using the pen at a writing distance. Okay, now we are moving on towards the dimensions of the pen. I do like to apologize for the handwriting. I'm still trying to learn cursive at the moment. So let's first begin with the cap. Length of the cap is 6 centimeters, and the cap can be further disassembled by removing the finial and thereby removing the cap. You can re-screw it back on, although you are left with a groove. So I think the only purpose of this is to perform maintenance on the clip if it gets damaged at any point. Pretty decent cap. So the barrel, as I've measured, it takes around 5 to 6 rotations on the barrel to remove it. That's quite a lot of rotations, and if you want, and that is very handy for converting a pen to an eyedropper, which we will talk about that later on. So the barrel length is 10.5 centimeters. When the pen is actually fully capped, we are looking at a length of 13.5 centimeters. This totals to a 128.6% increase from the barrel length towards the capped length. And when I talk about barrel length, I mean the end of the barrel all the way to the end of the grip section. When the pen is posted, we are looking at a 14.8 centimeters, which is 140.6% increase. So the converter of the pen is, you unscrew it, and it can hold up to 1.7 milliliters of ink, which is an amazing amount of ink to store for a converter. 1.7 milliliters. I think that's better than most piston fillers. Like this is vacuum filler territory we were heading into. A fantastic converter. It acts like a piston one, but you don't screw it. Very similar to the manuscript converters, but it can hold way more ink than a manuscript converter. It's also transparent, so you can see the ink, and it's a lot better to use. The converter can also be further disassembled by unscrewing the cap and pushing this through. Now with this, you can then proceed to apply silicone grease towards this, or just help when you're performing maintenance on this pen. So that is the converter of the pen. And it's also able to be an eyedropper pen, which can hold 5 milliliters of ink, which is quite a lot of ink. Although maybe not, because it's a flexible nib, and flexible nibs use quite a lot of ink. Alright, so but it's easily removed nib. It's yeah, it's friction fit, but you can also heat set it because we have a ebonite feed. The nib itself is a Noodlers flex nib. It's also a number 6 nib, meaning that you can use a dip pen on this, which is part of what I'm talking about the customize, about how this pen is very customizable. Because aside from using a super flexible dip pen nib, you can also control the feed and nib position. For example, if you really want to take a lot of advantage of the nib, you could do something pretty ridiculous like that. Your pen would not write like this at all, but if you can get it to, that can be done. But in general, I believe this pen was designed to be able to do stuff like this, where you could take it, where you can tinker around with it as much as you want. For now, I'm just going to set it as default as possible. So on the grip section, we have a change in diameter. We have the minimum end, which is 1.2. Oh, I forgot my units. Hold up. This is. Everything was in centimeters, if I'm correct. Yeah, that can't be 1.2 centimeters. Do apologize. I wrote this with one of those Fude brush pens, and I don't even think it's even visible. I can't really see the camera properly anyway. So yeah, so the minimum is 1.2 centimeters and the maximum is 1.4 centimeters, and the incline to the minimum and maximum has a gradient of 2/3. This means that's pretty. Well, to be honest, I haven't really compared any other pens to it yet, but in general, the higher the gradient, the more steeper this curve would be. Which, well, you can make that for your own judgment, but generally, I think people would like a less steeper gradient, as it would be more comfortable to hold. So now we can move on towards writing with the pen. So the ink I will be using is Diamine Autumn Oak, and this is because it's practically the closest thing I can get towards Apache Sunset. Okay, so after filling up the pen, let's start writing. So you know what the pen is. So the pen is called the Noodlers Ahab. Noodlers Ahab, and I believe it's the Arizona model. As you can see, I am incorporating some of the the line variation through flexing the pen here. And okay, so let's begin with just basically writing with the right hand. So writing with the right hand, but not flexing the pen. So I think we'll do the quick brown fox sentence. That is writing without flexing it. And now you're going to do this with the left hand, and we are going to you do an underwriting method. So left hand, so underwriting is literally you starting at underneath the line. So okay, I fortunately, just given the way how underwriting works, you end up like forcing a bit of flexor. So I don't. That's kind of intended as it is a flexible pen, and maybe if I wrote with my right hand how I do with my left, it would flex as well. So it doesn't look too intentional, which is hopefully a good thing. So now we're going to do left hand, and we're going to do some overwriting, which is my more preferred method of writing with the left hand. Okay, we had a bit of smudging there. That was kind of my mistake. I did just. Yeah, well, yeah, that was my mistake because I normally don't write in the margin. Alright, moving on, our final test will be left hand, and we'll do backhand. Talking, let's get on. So yeah, it kind of. I don't often write with backhand, and also I don't believe it's compatible with cursive at all. So now we are going to just do flexible writing, and let's signify this with writing a very nice F. There we go. So now we are going to write again with the right hand, but this time we will be doing flexible writing, and we are going to cut the sentence in half by just writing the quick brown fox. Okay, as shown, when you write slowly, you won't get flow issues when flexible writing. Right, so now we are going to do underwriting with the left hand. See that because I went quickly, it messed up. Anyway, we are now going to do overwriting whilst flexing, and this is where problems arise. See, like the pen's dreading it, and here's where the problems are. We cannot actually flex while overwriting. You just can't. It hinders the line. Like watch this. That's where we're only gonna. It practically becomes an architect nib when trying to flex it. Did it give? And it certainly gives a character to your handwriting, but not really much. So we're just gonna, let's just try and at least try and finish it off with doing it like this. We are actually running low on some paper, so let's just push everything up. And now we are going to do left hand, backhand writing. And let's see if that helps with flex. Let's see if we can get any good flex from that. See, definitely we are getting some kind, but it's very similar to the overhand writing, although but a much better achievement of it. So, as a left-handed person, if you want to use the flexibility from this pen, you're best doing it with underwriting. Underwriting is good because you mimic right-handed, because your hand position is similar to a right-handed person's when they write. So you get the benefit of stuff like flex and line variation. Although this pen isn't really showing it. It's probably because I didn't have Apache Sunset. Underwriting will always it's always the most prettiest one because it's so similar to writing with your right hand. Overwriting is good if you want to minimize the amount of flex you get. So if you're using this for just general overhand writing, like you're not gonna, you can't write with this, you can't do reverse writing with this, because all it does is make a horrible sound, and you have that cringe like feeling. It's like, nails on a chalkboard. Backhand writing, you're pretty good with that. You can obviously flare it for some. You can obviously flex it for some flair, and you get pretty nice results. Although, as one that doesn't backhand myself, I don't really have much. I can't really show the fullest potential of it, but yeah. Also, with backhander, so you are. It's difficult. You can't really do cursive scripts. You can't do cursive script to its full content. But in general, I believe this is a very wonderful pen. It's capable of writing nice and quickly when you want it to, and if you want to take your time and write something far more wonderful, so you can, and it can. It's good, so you won't flex because the ink just won't keep up, and it'll probably punish you for trying to flex whilst writing quickly. But you will get wonderful line variation when you write quite close. Anyway, this has been the Imperator, and this has been the Noodlers Ahab Arizona fountain pen review with the flexible nib.